Hey, Weather Weenies, meteorologist Serena Arnold here. I want to check in on a couple things. We're still talking about the impacts of Helene, and if anyone who scrolls through this app has been seeing the absolute devastation that's happening in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee and South Carolina, Southern Virginia, like all these places that we were talking about. This was a very well forecast event, and we were forecasting this event to be devastating, and somehow it's managed to be even more devastating than what we forecast, and it was a gloomy forecast. If you go to water.weather.gov, you can see a map that's showing flood gauges. Anywhere that's a circle, that's if the purple's the most severe color, red is the second most severe. Anywhere you see little circles with those is showing you the current stage, and if it's purple, you're at like max flood stage. If you're at red, you're at major flood stage, and so on below. The squares are what it's forecast to be. So I just want you to see this and understand all these places with red and purple squares that are still forecast in the days ahead for this to be really bad. And the worst posts that I'm seeing out there right now are people are like, another hurricane is on its way. No, stop. Unless you are a degreed meteorologist, I beg you, do not do that. And I understand the natural cycle of things. When you're a meteorologist, we learn more than the weather. We actually also learn a lot about how people process information. An effective meteorologist has to be good at communicating risks and have a very low false alarm rate. So people were speaking through all media channels that I could find about how bad Helene was going to be on Florida and also in the mountains. And some people heard that, and some people knew it was coming, and some people chose not to listen, or some people disregarded that. There's also fascinating research out there about how female named storms are more disregarded than male named storms. I digress. So people didn't pay attention. There is massive chaos and destruction over a large area. And people need to be focused on recovery and rescue efforts and repairing fast and not looking ahead at the next storm, because here's what happens. There's like this pendulum. So we ignore it, we get absolutely devastated. So then the next thing that comes, we're going to overreact to and jump to conclusions before we should. And then all of those conclusions will be wrong, and it causes more mistrust in meteorology, even though most of these types of things don't come from any degreed meteorologist. So then when the next storm comes and needs to be taken seriously, they don't believe it. And we swing back and forth as a society. The number of times this week I've been asked to talk about the next hurricane that's coming, I can't keep track of anymore. And the reason I haven't done it yet is because the forecast models have been all over the map. And what that means is there's no consistency in the forecast. For Helene, there was great consistency in the forecast. We could actually talk about it a little bit sooner than we could. We were able to talk about it before it was even a tropical storm, and that is unheard of and wild and fantastic. This forecast model run is 189 days out. We are looking well more than a week. And every run of the forecast models, one run will show, yep, there's a potential hurricane hitting the Gulf. There's another one, oh, nope, we're talking more like Gulf of Texas. Then, oh, nope, it slides between Florida and Cuba. Next run, there's not even a hurricane. A degreed meteorologist knows that shows there's variability in the forecast. And we can't talk about that. Like, we can't say, oh, there's maybe a hurricane, and the next day, oh, nope, it's not there anymore. Oh my God, it's back again. It would drive all of us nuts. Storms have to pass a certain confidence threshold for us to talk about it. And the only time we'll kind of get away from that confidence threshold is if the threat is imminent, like it's within the next 24, 48 hours, which is why we talked about Helene so early. You have to take into account like the damage ratio and how certain are you of the area and all that. There's so much more to take into account than the general public sees. This may be a storm. This may be a problem we have to focus on a week from now. It may be absolutely devastating and hit places that are currently getting horrible things happening to them, but maybe not. And actually, statistically, probably not. We absolutely need to be focused right now on making sure people understand the current risks right now, because the flooding is not over. It's up at higher elevation still. All that water still has to flood to coastal areas. There are going to be more places that are impacted by what Helene did, because that is certain and that is imminent. And there is no degreed meteorologist out there that's going to be talking about this and how every forecast model run, it's going a different direction. It is September. This will be October. In North America, we are prime hurricane season. End of these forecast model runs always show something. You'll see there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens here. But it doesn't mean that that's going to happen. This is a tool. A forecast model is a guess and is a tool. And some are reliable and some are not. And sometimes some are reliable at certain times and not others. Kind of like children. Like, think about your kids. Sometimes you can trust what they say. And then sometimes they're just trying to get you to allow them to eat Reese's. I will absolutely talk about any additional storms when the time is appropriate. But please, if you think you need to post these images and warn people that the next one is coming, you're part of the problem.